Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today got a build for you based on Necrotic Wolves. Now how this works, there's a pair of boots that you can target farm on the Age of Winter timeline. It does not have to be empowered. Same place that you get the Reign of Winter bow for the bow mage build. And this pair of boots allows you to add necrotic damage to minions so that they can do necrotic damage. Now it doesn't give them the tag, but it does add melee damage to your wolves based on how many stacks of Maelstrom you have. It will also convert Maelstrom to a necrotic damage, which as you can see in the gameplay looks really cool. So the objective of the build, as you would imagine, is to get as many stacks as possible of Maelstrom to add as much necrotic damage to the wolves. Now, there are some new axes where you can stack necrotic damage. Tested it. They don't have the scaling tag and it doesn't really make them do any extra damage. So what we've done is we've converted all of that added damage to cold damage for Ice Bite. So every attack will have a 40% chance for each one of the wolves to do an Ice Bite, which hits in an AoE, does way more damage, and converts all added damage from all sources to cold damage so that they will do a lot of damage. We've also synergized that with the cold version of Warcry so that you'll be able to do even more damage and give them a lot of critical strike chance. Not 100% crit, but a lot more. And you can absolutely mow down single targets with even high amounts of health in a very quick succession. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills, the interactions, and just how this build works. For skills, I'm running Maelstrom, Summon Frenzy Totem, Summon Wolf, Warcry, and Ice Thorns. For Maelstrom, we have this set up so that it won't be instacast to keep the mana cost down, but we want to be able to stack as many of them as possible. It's also going to give us a lot of dodge and a lot of healing. We got 3 points in Whirlpool to increase the stack duration, 3 points in Sleep-Footed for 45 flat dodge per stack. We will get to about 20 stacks, which means that we'll have 900 flat dodge just from this skill, which is really powerful. 4 points in Calm for some mana efficiency, 1 point in Power of the Storm so that we'll have lightning cast each second that we're at 6 or more stacks, which will be all the time. 3 points in Energize so we can hit additional targets. 2 points in Arctic Chill for some chill chance, 3 points in Healing Winds, so that will be healed 6 health per second per stack, increased by healing effectiveness. At 20 stacks, you'll get 120 health per second. If you have 100% healing effectiveness, you'll double that to 240. And then the last point in Turmoil for some increased area. Summon Frenzy Totem is going to be buffing our wolves, giving them critical strike chance, resistance, and a lot of attack speed, along with flat damage for the first 4 seconds after Frenzy Totem has been activated. We got 4 points in Rapidity for increased Frenzy effect, 5 points in Beast Style Frenzy for 20 flat melee physical damage added to the wolves, again for Cold Bite that will be converted to cold damage, 5 points in Lead the Pack, so they have 250% increased critical strike chance, 3 points in Revitalizing Totem, 1 point in Symbol of Haste, 1 point in Symbol of Selflessness, and 1 point in Warding Totem. For Summon Wolf, we have this set up to get +1 Wolf, so we can have this 6 total, and we're set up for as much Ice Bite cold damage as possible. We got 2 points in Savage Hunters, 4 points in Legendary Bite, 3 points in Tundra Stalkers, 4 points in Frozen Fangs, 1 point in Pack Hunters, 1 point in Earthborn, 2 points in Wolf in Recovery, 2 points in Lupine Endurance, 1 point in On the Hunt, and the last 4 points in Legendary Bite for that melee damage and more melee crit chance, all multiplicative with your other modifier. For Warcry, we have this set up to increase our wolves' cold damage, to give them more crit chance, and to have a whole bunch of stacks of Maelstrom proc when we use it. We have 1 point in Juggernaut, so we're invulnerable for 1 second after using it. 1 point in Breath of Edera, so that we're healed when we use it. 4 points in Whirlpool, so that we get 4 stacks of Maelstrom when we use it for half their mana cost. Now, because we're trying to stack as much Maelstrom as possible, we've reduced the cooldown. So we have 1 point in Staggering War, 1 point in Kinetic Scream, 2 points in Shredding Howl, and 1 point in Shallow Breath to reduce that cooldown by 50%, so we can get those 4 stacks every 5 seconds. 2 points in Deep Wear to increase the area, 1 point in Jamon's Wrath to increase our cold damage. We're going to convert it to cold, and then 5 points in Frost Claw is going to give us 250% increased cold damage. That's for us and the wolves. And 1 point in Bringer of Winter is going to give them 100% increased crit chance. Then for Ice Thorns, we're using this because we do have a two-handed weapon on. We'll cast it for free. On top of that, we do have a staff on, which means that we'll be able to do decent enough hits with it since it's a spell, and we have, you know, all that adaptive spell damage with the two-handed staff. So the 1 point in Emblem of Might makes it free, 1 point in Anemophily, 1 point in Thorn Shield, 1 point in Second Nature to turn it into an insta-cast skill. 6 points in Full Arc Ties is going to give us the ability to cast it once every second, and we're going to get 30% critical strike avoidance. 4 points in Bulb Shield to have it recast, 5 points in Bark Shield, and 1 point in Eternal Protection. For passives, I have 25 points in the base Primalist class, with 8 points in Natural Attunement, 2 points in Primal Strength, 5 points in Hunter's Restoration, 5 points in Survival of the Pack, and 5 points in Berserker. So when we do get below 35% health, we will take an additional 25% less damage. We have no points in the Shaman or Druid, and 88 points in the Mastered Beastmaster, with 8 points in 𝐒𝐭𝐤 Strength, 4 points in Boarheart, 1 point in Savagery, 1 point in Ambush, 6 points in Lamprey Teeth, 1 point in Rending Maul, 4 points in Hunters of the Deep, 5 points in Axe and Claw, 5 points in Porcine Constitution, 5 points in the Circle of Life, 1 point in Dragon Slayer, 5 points in Cry of the Lynx, 10 points in Viper Fangs, 1 point in Force of Nature for that +1 maximum companion, 6 points in Serrated Claws, 10 points in Ancient Might, 5 points in Critical Bite, and 10 points in Primal Aspects. The reason for the Primal Aspects in the Lynx is since we are using the Wolves howl as often as possible, we'll have 100% uptime of the aspect of the Lynx, which will give our companions more critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier, as well as let them leech a huge portion of that critical strike damage, which is really going to increase their survivability. For idols, items, uniques, and blessings, we do have 3 uniques in this build. One of them is kind of mandatory. This build will run without any of the uniques, however, I do recommend that you have them. We have Yulia's Path. These boots can be found on the Age of Winter timeline, level 90. You do not have to be empowered. It took me 4 tries to get it. Someone else said it took them twice. I don't know if it's a 50-50 draw. I think it's slightly lower than that, but that is the timeline that you get it. And the main thing is this will convert Maelstrom into Necrotic, as well as for every stack of Maelstrom, you'll get between 2 and 4 melee Necrotic damage for maximum to your companions, and all of that will can convert it to ice damage for their ice bite. Now, here's the thing. I have a 3 on mine, which means that if you get a better rolled one, you can do more damage than you're seeing me do in this build guide. Arder's Legacy is going to give you that +1 maximum companion. Again, don't have to have it. And then the Fang is going to allow you to summon all of your wolves at once. It also makes it to where the wolves cannot be stunned, and it's going to give them a lot of added physical melee damage. Now here's the thing, before I put this on, wolves were having a really hard time summoning. I kept getting stuck on one even though I didn't take any solo companion nodes. I threw this on and then it allowed me to actually summon all of them. So if you're having problems summoning wolves, the Fang or the Claw might be mandatory until that bug gets fixed. For idols, I'm using 4 1x3s that give minion melee damage. On the 2x2s, you can get Aspect of the Shark and Aspect of the Lynx, and these are going to allow you to stack both of those for a longer period of time. For the items, I'm just going to hover over them. The reason I went with a 2-handed staff was for cast speed, so that we can cast Maelstrom more often. You can also get increased physical minion damage on this, and although they keep the physical tab, the cold ice bite is not going to be physical, but it's also not going to be necrotic damage either, so that's why I didn't wear the axes that allow you to stack a lot of minion necrotic damage increased. For the chest, we've got the minion critical strike multiplier as well as flat chance. And for the rest of these, I'm just going to hover over them. The build planner will be in the description below as well as in the written guide. And for blessings, same thing, just going to hover over them. I haven't found the best in slot ones, so definitely recommend farming for the correct ones that will fit the build a little bit better. This is just what I had to match the gameplay. Alright, for the character sheet, I have just over 1600 health. I have most of my resistances, missing a little bit on the physical side of things. Definitely want to get that up. Got about 20% armor, and without any Maelstrom stacks, I have 0% dodge. I got quite a bit of critical strike multiplier, but again, my damage doesn't really matter. For the minions, they have only 100% health on this build. They have about 233% minion critical strike multiplier, and then they have that 173% melee damage. But the reason they're doing so much damage is not because I don't have global damage, it's because of how many different sources of added damage that we are giving to them. And then, of course, my dodge will go up as we have Maelstrom stacks. So, for instance, once I put everything on autocast here, you will see that when we use Maelstrom and we get a ton of stacks, our dodge goes up. We'll get to about that 900 flat dodge, which then gives us about, right there, almost 30% dodge rating, depending on if you have enough mana to keep going. So 25 to 30% dodge, not that bad to get that for free just from a skill. Again, on your gear you can also put some increased dodge rating if you'd like. You could wear swords and get dodge rating on that and easily double to triple the amount of dodge you have here and hit that 50% plus to have more survivability. Alright, so for how to play the build and skill rotation, I like to put everything on autocast. We're going to have Warcry, everything will be on autocast, and all you have to do is run around and cast manually a Maelstrom every now and then and just have them attack. And you can see here they're critting the training dummy for about 20k at max with those ice bites. The more stacks of Maelstrom I have here, the more it'll go up. But they crit from anywhere from 5 to 20k. Why it's so wildly various, I don't know. The other thing is, I tried the axes, I tried Eulogy of Bloods for the 30 added cold damage, and it didn't make a difference on damage. I think there is still something wrong with the scaling to Ice Bite. It doesn't seem to convert all of the time, but I digress. The build still works. We still plow through the content extremely easily, and again, all you have to do is just run around and occasionally cast off a Maelstrom. Again, stacking more mana regen helps with the build. If I don't cast any Maelstroms manually, our mana does stay full. I have about enough mana to cast it once every about 4 seconds, but again, in boss fights you might want to spam it. But even without it, you're still sitting between 10 and 15 stacks almost at all times, just letting Warcry do its thing. Alright, that's going to be it for this build guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, stay safe and enjoy some gameplay.